Adventures in the Canal, Volume 1. This boy. Brown hair. A dorky face. A little bit like a movie star. But maybe not in a good way. He sits quietly. Almost like a statue. Leaning ever so softly against the concrete outside of his house. It was porous, with flarings of spiked pieces. It had been weatherproofed very poorly. He'd run his hands up and down the sides of this concrete wall, feeling where the water got trapped in the pockets. He sat against the star-spangled reflection of the Big Dipper on concrete. The surface was coarse and rough, but the night sky was blotted and opaque in so many spots. Even the formation of stars above him started to fade. It was polluted and tropically unseeable from this position, so deep within the heart of civilization. But even so, there were still some pointers. It had rained for the first time in weeks that day. Everything was slick, like an oil stain because of it. Even so, the night sky was still there, even after the evening porch sconces were turned on. These tight little nooks and crannies, spots for light to catch on reflective surfaces, metal and polished wood. They glinted in the night. They were yellow dots. The insides of people's homes lit up before bedtime, just like spatial bodies, like stars set in the blanket of humankind. It was easy to get lost in them. Some kind of disturbing mental illness, catching the eye, catching the mind. It might have been a hallucination to anyone else, but to the boy, he could see the way the light rayed and slipped and crooked. Seizure-like, he watched, unblinking, unstopping, just sitting there in the night. Clouds of contaminated air moving between the formations of nebulas in the Milky Way above. He breathed softly. His backyard, it wasn't enormous, but it wasn't small for someone in his position. Some might even call it privileged. But he was just afraid. A nest of stinger-pronged hornets lived here and there, mysterious, enigmatic, and constantly imbued with terrifying iration. It scared him. The poor boy. His privilege for now was to wait for his nightly companion. He'd waited there every night, for weeks, maybe months. It was hard to tell at this point. But he'd waited there for a black, live, green-eyed companion, in betwixt the rhythmic howling of dropping rain spouts, roof-laden waterways and canyons of irrigation. A sound became clear. It was the pitter-patter of a cat's paws. Silent to anyone, but the boy was not anyone. He was this feline's date for the evening, and he was expecting her.